I was Good evening. I would like to call to order the Keizer City Council in regular session. It is Monday, December 4th, 2023, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Reed?
Here.
Councilor Husband?
Here.
Councilor Kohler?
Here.
Mayor Clark?
Here.
Council President Starr?
Here.
Councilor Duran?
Here.
Councilor Cross?
Here.
Youth Councilor Woodard?
Here.
All right, thank you very much. If you are able, I invite you to rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Tonight we have the pleasure of a couple of items under the special orders of business. And the first is going to be our proclamation for Human Rights Day. And Thais Rodick, are you here? Yes, come on up from the Community Diversity Engagement Committee. So thank you for being here tonight. And would you go ahead and talk about, were you going to talk about
I think we were just going to receive it.
Okay,
there's a
perfect.
really nice poster out there, yep.
All right, thank you so much.
Yep.
So it is my pleasure then to issue the proclamation for the Human Rights Day. Whereas on December 10, 1948, the member states of the United Nations signed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and countries of different political, economic, and social systems unanimously agreed on the fundamental rights that all people share solely on the basis of their common humanity. And whereas the Universal Declaration asserts recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family, is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace. And whereas disregard and contempt for human rights have resulted in acts which have outraged the conscience of mankind. And whereas the advent of a world in which human beings enjoy freedom of speech and belief, along with freedom from fear and want, has been proclaimed to be the highest aspiration of the worldwide human community. And whereas the city of Keizer affirms that all people shall be treated with dignity and respect. And whereas each person has the power and ability to promote and put into practice respect for human rights and freedoms. Now therefore, I, Kathy Clark, Mayor of the City of Keizer, together with the Keizer City Council assembled in regular session, do hereby proclaim December 10, 2023 as Human Rights Day, and urge the residents of our community to actively and thoughtfully live out these ideals. And I will make the presentation to you. Thank you so much. Put that there. It is now our pleasure to make a presentation of an award to Christina Patterson, the winner of the 2023 Keizer Public Arts Commission Holiday Card Contest. And is that presentation being made by the Keizer Public Arts Commission? Or do I get to do it? Yeah, I think Ms. Christopher, you should come up and talk to us about the holiday contest, and then we'll bring up, yes, there we go, come on down.
My name is Lori Christopher. I'm a resident of Keizer and a member of the Keizer Public Arts Commission. And it's my joy and pleasure to be with Chris Patterson, who is the star tonight. But as many of you know, her husband was one of the original 5 members of the Keizer City Council 40 years ago when our city was established. And they put together, the 5 people put together the charter that expanded the city council from 5 to 7. And that's why 2 of you have jobs. And so we received, I want to say 8 to 10 entries for the holiday card. It wasn't a really tough decision, and the reason it wasn't a tough, and I did not bring it. Hang on.
Oh, we've got it. Don't worry. Okay.
It wasn't a tough decision once we read the poem. I mean, the quilt is beautiful as well. And Chris is an accomplished quilter. And isn't it fitting that our holiday exhibit is right now? And they're right out in our galleries. And they're great. They're always great. It's one of our favorite shows, but they're beautiful. Chris is going to visit them when she's done here. Let me read this. May your holiday memories be stitched together with unbreakable threads of love and laughter, and may 2024 find you covered with the wonderful warmth of community. So really, was there any other card to be considered after that? I don't think so. You want to tell us about your inspiration, Chris?
Ooh, my inspiration. Can I see the picture? I was going to bring it with me, but for those of you that haven't seen it, it's just a real simple little outline square, and I chose this green to kind of tie it all together because it kind of makes me think of our community and the common threads that unite us with all the diverse colors and patterns that we have. And quilts are just comforting things, and I think Keizer's a very comfortable place, and I want it to be comfortable for everybody, no matter where they come from or what background they are, and that was kind of my inspiration. So.
See?
That's it.
Yep. So with that, I would love to make this presentation to Chris Patterson, the winner of the 2023 Holiday Card Contest. So we have for you a frame.
I'm not a professional, so I'm far from it. Anyway, let's talk about it. Another time.
Also have for you a certificate on behalf of the Keizer Public Arts Commission with the prize for the contest and some cards for you to use personally.
Well, I have to tell you, they already gave me the prize and I've already spent half of it, so this might be a little duplicate. Because I want you to have the prize. Do you know? How should we handle this one?
Well, let's see, the volunteerism in this community, something tells me we're going to be getting it.
Let me get to Lori. How's that?
Thank you so much. Chris Patterson, everybody.
See, she's honest too.
Yep. And then, as advertised, we now have a new art display out in our gallery. It is the beautiful season of quilts, and we invite all of you to enjoy that during business hours and, meeting nights and so forth when the building is open to come down and see these beautiful quilts on display. All right, committee reports. We don't have anything under that. Is there anything tonight under committee? Oh, we do, yes. I've got, Lori Christopher is going to talk about KPAC, the progress report.
Yes, it's Lori Christopher.
It sure is.
Okay, so my name is Lori Christopher. I'm a resident of Keizer and a member of KPAC, Keizer Public Arts Commission. First off, we continue to work on utility box wraps. Adam has been working with an artist that has been exceedingly patient. He first put his iris design, he gave it to us about 18 months ago, but we had a hard time. We're figuring it out. And so we're getting closer to having our first utility box wrap. And then we hope, that kind of made me laugh because I thought, wrapping, maybe we can get a McNary kid to do that. We hope that we can get more McNary students, yes, cue the youth counselor, to submit original designs, original artwork that we can then develop onto wraps that we can put on our utility boxes. And they will be there for a substantial period of time, but it would be their original artwork. That's really what we have in the master plan, is for student art to do the wraps on the utility boxes. So will you please pass that word for us? Great. Also, I want to address Councilor Starr's request of street art. We haven't forgotten you, but it is not in our master plan. So I'm sorry?
Did I do a request?
Well, just a request for, here's an idea.
Oh.
And so we're going to look into that and see if the Keizer Public Arts Commission wants to move forward. If so, we got to get in our master plan, then we can try to figure out a plan for putting that in. I would not look for it in '24, maybe in '25. So that is coming. We've also, preserving story poles, we've ordered that to be done. We've had a little bit of problem with the weather and the rain, and now we really have a problem with the weather and the rain. I'm not positive that will happen until maybe spring. So we have James Lukanich, who did some of the carving. He did Sasquatch in the park, and he did the second story pole, and he also preserves them for us on an annual basis. His schedule and the weather schedule, they were not working. So that's coming. Additionally, the mayor has requested that KPAC, look at the City of Keizer backdrop, and I agree 100%. That was always the intent, that it would say City of Keizer. If anyone is tuning in to watch you, how do we know who you are? We have no idea. You could be any city in Oregon. So KPAC wants to take that on and work with the city manager to get that up there, and that is going to be one of the things we're working on next. I also want to say we will open the holiday card competition for 2024. That will happen in January, and we hope that we have lots of participants. That continues to grow. It's a fun little thing that we do. And I tell you, I really appreciate that you support that, because over 125 cards are sent out to people who volunteer for this community and to volunteer for the city. And this is it's just nice to get a little card in the mail that says, thanks, we hear you, we remember you, we thank you for your service. So thank you for that. There's history photos that I understand, I don't know, is that on tonight's agenda?
Yes, it is.
Oh, great. So the history photos that y'all paid,
It'll be brought up under other business.
thank you. The history photos that y'all paid for Keizer's 40th, we have done as the mayor requested and turned them over to you. Oops, sorry. And the hope is, and the desire is, that they will go on this wall, so that everyone, if you wondered, where in the world did the Keizer flag come from? We have the history of that. Where did the Keizer logo come from? We have the history of that. We have the all of the historic documents that established us as a city. I support the mayor in this. I thought this was a great idea to put a little bit of that history. We get asked that all the time, and the perfect place to do that would be in council chambers. What would happen is you'll move this gorgeous photo or painting over to that wall. We'll continue to build beautiful local artwork on that wall, and you'll have the history on that wall. It's a great idea. It was the mayor's idea. 100% support it. I hope you will tonight. Okay, if you would allow me, if I could take a little bit longer just to catch you up on some of the open issues that we have at the Cultural Center that y'all were interested in last month when Robert spoke to you, I'd like to do that.
Please do.
Okay, the door update. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We have signed the contract with Southtown Glass and with Integrated Solutions to finally complete the ADA doors that y'all funded for us. You know, you would think that that would be so easy, right?
No.
Just to call and say, we want ADA buttons in a 107-year-old building. It has been, you gave us that the budget, July. So here we are 5 months later. I've been working diligently with our volunteer engineer, and it's taken us this long. We had 3 vendors who did the monitoring of that building, the security. We had ADT for burglar. We had a different monitoring for access management and a different monitor for fire. We will now have 1 monitor for all 3. We're trying to keep it as simple as possible because it's all volunteer run. And the easier we can make it, the more successful we'll be. So the good news is We've just signed the contracts to let that happen. I would look for them to get, all the parts will be ordered, and it will probably get started in January. It's a 2-week job. We should probably have ADA doors by the end of January. The maquette, I want to talk with you. You're going to be getting a letter from Robert Becker, who's the president of Keizer Heritage Foundation, regarding the maquette. That's the maquette back there in the corner.
The
And-
mini Thomas Dove Keizer.
It is. So a maquette is the model that a sculptor does before he does a full-size model of the sculpture. That we received that as part of that project, and there's never really been a spot for him. So he's been stuck in the back of the city council in kind of an unceremoniously neglected way. So the Keizer Heritage Museum is going to request that you either put a long-term loan or that you donate it to the Keizer Heritage Museum, because we have a huge 5-year project that's just been initiated called RAM, and that's the reimagining and modernization of Keizer Heritage Museum. So we've been putting together the team. I think you'll recognize that this is an A team. We have Debbie Lockhart, perhaps you know the name, taking care of all of the archiving of all of our valuable things into our storage locker, which was greatly reduced by a storage place who wanted to participate in the community. So they gave us a huge discount in being able to store our valuable items there. Debbie is working on that. Tracy Davis, another name that may be familiar to you. She has agreed to be a docent and is also helping us with the renovation of the museum. In addition to that, we've got 3 artists, a muralist who's going to end up painting the Oregon Trail on one wall and the history of the Native peoples on another wall. Exciting stuff. And Robert Becker snagged us a mentor from the Oregon Historical Society. So we have that person for 9 months. We have to do at least one display. So we're starting with Thomas Dove Keizer. We would like the maquette to be the center of that display. We're going to set it up like his legislative office. It was the pre-legislature, but sorry, I had to swallow my gum. He was the one of 8 that helped us become the state of Oregon. We're going to set it up like his legislative office with a desk and a chair, and behind it will say Keizer Heritage Museum. That will be an Insta art moment. So kids, when they come, will be able to sit at the desk. They'll be able to have their picture taken. We're going to have talking frames where the picture will be of Jerry McGee being Thomas Dove Keizer. When you open the frame, it's Jerry McGee speaking to us as Thomas Dove Keizer. Oh. It's so good. It's so good. Anyway, so that's the first display we're doing. Second display will be the old Keizer School. Third display will be the city of Keizer. We're supposed to get that done in the first 2 years. Again, you think it's going to be so fast. It's so slow. But we want it done right. We want this to be a museum. We want this to be a world-class museum. We want all of you to be real proud of it, but we want all of Keizer to be real proud of it. And we want to tell the story of Keizer's heritage. So that's coming. Okay, the end. Any questions?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for all of that update. And if people want more information on the Keizer Heritage Foundation, where should they go?
They should go to Keizer Heritage Foundation is on Facebook. We also have a website, and that's going to be the best place. All of those roads lead to Robert Becker, and then he distributes those roads to the rest of us. Oh, I forgot to say one more thing. So many of you know or may not know, there were actually 2 maquettes. Did you know that? Jerry McGee, who initiated the project to put our statue of Thomas Dove Keizer
Over that
there, he got one of the maquettes. And so my fear was he passed away, and where did that go? And is it stuck in the back of some kid's closet? He had 4 children. And so I got a phone call today from Diane Monroe, who was his long-term companion, and the maquette is in her entry hall. And yes, she will put an addendum to her last will and testament that when she passes, that maquette will come to the Keizer Heritage Museum.
Way to go.
So, and she's thrilled to do it. That's the place it should be. Wasn't that great? So yeah, there's lots of fun and exciting things happening. Thanks so much.
Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So with all of these exciting things happening with the museum, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to make a pitch. If you want to be a part of this, there's the Keizer 100.
Yes.
You want to pitch that just right here?
Thank you. I want to, and thank you. All the city council is a Keizer 100 member. Councilor Hussman reached out to me, he is Keizer 100. Councilor Cross reached out to me, she's Keizer 100. So Tracy Davis, Debbie Lockhart, I mean, this was Lyndon Zeit's idea. Let's get 100 people together who love Keizer, who have been leaders in Keizer, who care about Keizer's history, and let's have each one of them give a one-time donation of $1,000 to create a sinking fund to preserve and maintain the only historic building that we have in Keizer. We have 76 members. So we're winding down, we need 24. Marlene Parsons is helping me with that last push. Already talked to Mr. Wallery about it. He's pretty excited and probably will be one.
No pressure.
I'm pretty sure that'll happen. We've sent out mail to, see? Yes, see? So now we have 27. So now we're down to only needing 23. And some of you may have gotten mail. We've got a mailing list that we sent stuff out to, but sooner or later, Marlene and I will give you an opportunity to participate and be part of Keizer's history, because we know that's what you want to do.
And we welcome everybody who would like to donate, come volunteer. This is open to everybody to participate in the Keizer Heritage Foundation. And another way to get a hold of people at the foundation, go visit.
Go visit. And, let me tell you, Mark
Walk in.
Callier and his band of merry men, he has a band of woodworking people that are going to help us with some of the displays at the museum. And you'll see our little Keizer Museum logo. When we have a need, like we just had a need to buy shelving and tubs to store our artifacts properly, and we sent it out in email and on our website. We wanted $1,200, we received $1,000 like that. So we were able to buy our shelves, we were able to buy our bins, padded hangers so that all of the clothing that we have that has been donated, that will all be hanging now, and they're in the certified bags that they're supposed to be hanging in. So we're really starting to act like a real museum, and that's what you want us to be. You want us to take care of these artifacts, and you want us to display those in a professional manner that tells our story. Right now, we have a collection of all kinds of interesting stuff, but no stories being told, but it's coming.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hate to do this to you, Tammy, but you get to be next. But you totally got it. Yes. Always good to see you.
How do I follow that?
With all
All
the good
right.
stuff you're doing.
Tammy Keizer, reporting for Community Diversity Engagement Committee. Our November meeting was on the 2nd. We have been working on creating a equity lens for some of how we've been looking at things. For example, the neighborhood traffic management plan is something that we used the equity lens for, to be sure we're looking at it equally from all sides and that we don't leave anybody out. We've been talking about rules of conduct and different ways that we want to utilize a consultant. We finished our book study. We learned a lot of what to do and what not to do. We have been talking about different ways we can start engaging with the community, and part of that, we have a list of local community organizers and businesses for Keizer, and some from Salem that are on our list. We're working on modifying that list, and then each of us will engage in our own ways with those groups and report back monthly, bi-monthly, we're not really sure what that's gonna look like yet. Mine will probably be monthly, because that's what I'm used to. And lastly, we are working on getting some of our information translated to other languages. As we learned with the Latino Business Alliance, we were the only table that did not have that available. So we have been talking about getting everything translated and making it more accessible to everybody in the community, because we don't want to leave anybody out. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions on Tammy's report? Thank you so much. That's all I have for committee reports. Was there anybody else here to give a committee report that I didn't get a sign-in sheet? Okay. That takes us then to public comments. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We have one public hearing scheduled for this evening. That's the comprehensive plan map zone change partition case 2023-16 for property located at 1141 Jamawa Road North. If you're here for that, stand by. And then I have signed up for public comment, Carol Dorfler.
This is fun. This is a little fun project. So Carol Dorfler, a resident of Keizer. My husband and I had the pleasure of running away for 4 days, the last 4 days of October, sun shining brightly. So we went to Wildlife Safari, which, as you know, was in Winston. And I was very impressed with Wildlife Safari. I'm giving them a little plug, but don't go in the summer. You go in the fall. There are only 2 other cars on the road that goes through the 600 acres. But we had lunch in Winston at the Winston Diner, which was wonderful. And you all have a copy of this. I'm sorry, I did not have a copy for staff.
We'll make sure this gets into the staff record.
And this is a little brochure pamphlet about what is going on in Winston. And we've been here many evenings talking about how can we communicate with our residents of Keizer. So this is just a thought that came to me. These were on the table in the restaurant where we had lunch. And I asked the waitress about it, and she said, all the businesses in Winston, majority of the businesses, have these little pamphlets. It's all very informative. Front page tells you exactly what's going on, when it's going on. This is done by the middle school. If you look at the fine print at the bottom,
Saw that.
the middle school. So I'm leaving this with you to follow through, because you all know people that I don't know. And perhaps, and I'm looking at our youth counselor, perhaps Whitaker could do it, perhaps McNary could do it. Just a thought. But they all are all over Winston, and that's how they get their news.
All right.
Okay? Any
Thank you very
questions?
much.
You're very welcome. Any questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you. And I have, so before I go to Ms. Rodriguez, I have Corey Falardo signed up to talk about holiday events in Keizer. Do you want to do that separately from the agenda item regarding the permits, or can we have you come up as we start that agenda item? Your call. Oh, okay. I'm going to call up Ms. Rodriguez, and then we'll bring you up to talk about holiday events, and then we'll get into our public hearing. How about that? Okay, come on up.
Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
If you could go ahead and have a seat, I'd appreciate that. Could you just say your name and what city you live in?
My name is Elenice Rodriguez, and I live in Salem, Oregon at the moment. And I'm sorry, you guys, please bear with my English. I am Puerto Rican, and my English is más o menos.
It's
So
all good.
I'm here today because first of all, I'm a very spiritual person, and God put in my heart to do something for those less fortunate. I understand that I'm unemployed, but that doesn't stop me from helping others. One day I was sitting home and this God put this thing in my head, go knock on doors and ask people for clothes. I know we have organizations like, I'm saying this with a lot of respect. I'm not trying to put nobody down, but we have Salvation Army and Goodwill. Yes, we do. People donate there. A lot of you guys donate there. And this is because they supposedly help the community. How is that helping the homeless people when those people don't have money to go to the store? I don't think that's helping. But though I'm being respectful, I'm not trying to talk back on nobody, but this is how I see it. In order for those people to go to Goodwill, they need money or they need a referral. In order for these people to get a referral, they need an ID. A lot of these people don't have the resources. It's very easy for people to say, well, they chose to be out there. No, I'm sorry. I was homeless myself, and I didn't choose to be homeless. And I was homeless with my 2 boys. I came here from Florida in 2019 with my 9-year-old at the time and my 3-year-old at the time. And we didn't have no home. I didn't have a family. But I bumped into good people that gave me ideas. And I used to go to the dollar store, buy candy boxes for $1, sell them at the light for $5. I cleaned a lot of windows, a lot of parking lots. I asked a lot of people at the windows to buy me and my boys some food. And guess what? Not everybody out there was nasty. There was a lot of nice people out there. And just how there was people out there that they didn't know me and helped me and gave me a hand and they didn't question me. I want to do that for those because there's a lot of people out there. And like I said, I'm sorry, I get emotional. People are very easy to judge. They're very quick to pull out a phone and say, hey, look, they wearing one shoe and another shoe or 2 different socks. Or look, why is this man wearing a woman's shirt? Well, they don't understand that these people have nothing else to wear and when it's cold, and even in the summer, it gets cold when it rains. So instead of laughing and making fun of them and taking a video to get followers, why don't you go home, look through your closet, instead of giving it to Goodwill when you're helping people become rich. That's my opinion. Goodwill is not given to the people out there. So, yeah, people go to Walmart and buy a shirt for $10, and you donate it to Goodwill thinking they're going to help somebody out there. Goodwill selling it for $13. Whoa. Walmart was $10. Goodwill is $13. How is that helping the community? With all the respect, that's my opinion. So one day, when God put that in my heart, I came over with Barbie over there. Barbie, her name is Barbara, but she goes by Barbie. And I knocked on her door and I told Barbie, hey, Barbie, we're going to get your wagon and we're going to go knock on doors and we're going to ask people to donate clothes. And it's going to be awkward, but I'm down for it. And she was down for it, so I've been doing it. We go to almost every campsite around Salem. We walk to Commercial Street, all the way from 25th Street. We left the house at 8 o'clock. We got down there like 10, but it was the most amazing time because a lot of people look at homeless people like they're mean people, they're bad people. Okay, how will you be if you know that you're gonna be in the street hungry and cold and people are humiliating you most of the time during the day? You don't sleep comfortable, you don't eat right, and then on top of that, you have to deal with people's nastiness too. I understand I'm not God, but I was homeless, so I know how it feels when people reject you and people look at you like they bigger and better. And I believe something that goes, the wheels on the bus go around and around. So don't make fun of others, don't humiliate, don't judge, because you never know when your time is gonna end and you're gonna have to be on the other side of the tracks, So I don't know exactly what I'm doing here, but I'm looking for support because I just started a group called the Giving Hearts on Facebook. I go by Ellie Roman, that's one of my family members call me. I'm so nervous, I'm sorry.
Oh,
And,
you're good.
I just would love to just hopefully get support and get the support that I need. Sorry.
So, first of all, thank you and bless you for coming and sharing your story tonight and using your voice for people that oftentimes don't feel they have a voice. And in this community, as you've talked to people, you have found the profound caring that people have in this community. What I'm going to ask you to do, the City of Keizer is part of the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance. We individually and as a city work very hard to provide comprehensive services for people to leave homelessness, and we're growing every day in what we collectively are doing. And I want to invite you in to be part of that conversation. I'm going to ask Ms. Bissett to show you where my card is, and would you please contact me, and I would love to connect you with people who are of like mind and of like soul to partner up. Would that be okay?
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you for blessing us tonight. I am
Thank you,
just so
everybody.
thankful you came.
Thank you, and I'm sorry for my English.
Oh, no, we are blessed. Thank you. Ms. Filardo, come on down. Keizer and holidays, I think those are synonyms. Mr. Christmas, where's your hat? I know Jackie gave you one.
I just put a mint in my mouth, sorry.
Timing's everything.
I'm Corey Filardo, Executive Director at the Keizer Chamber and a resident of Keizer.
Dave Wallery, somewhere in Marion County, and maybe one of these days I'll be in Keizer. Counselor Turan.
Expanding those boundaries. So we're here tonight to talk about the holiday events in Keizer that the Keizer Chamber puts on and partners with lots of people in Keizer, including many of you here. So thank you for that opportunity. First up, we are working really hard down at the Keizer Lions Club on our holiday giving basket program. It's been in process for about 2.5 months, working with the Keizer schools, working with counselors and many, many community members and businesses who've hosted trees and folks who have gone out and bought gifts and just been, being Santa's elves and packing gifts and working all hard at the Santa Central, if you will. But we have all that going on, and we are looking forward to wrapping those 1,300 plus gifts that we have stored. And that happens on December 6th down at the Lions Club, which is Santa Central. And we invite the community out at 4:30 p.m. And we'd love to have as many folks that can come down as possible to help wrap and just be a part of that with us. We love the help, we love the support, but we also love that time that we can be with each other and be in fellowship and partnership and wrap all those gifts. I'm sure some of you are a lot better at wrapping than I am, but we hope that you come down and be a part of it. And then the following day, we have our food box prep, which is also at Santa Central, the Lions Club. And that starts at 4:30 p.m. And if you'd like to be a part of that, please be there right at 4:30 because it goes very quickly. Food boxes are a lot easier to make than wrap 1,300 gifts. So if you want to be a part, I encourage you to be there promptly at 4:30. And that is on December 7th. And then for that program, the food box and gift delivery is on December 9th, starting at 9 a.m. And we really, really love if all of you and the rest of the community could come out and grab a box of gifts and a food box and help us deliver to the community. It's a real special thing to take part in, and we love that Keizer loves to take care of its own and be a part of that. I'm sure many of those who are watching or here this evening have purchased a gift, and we just want to pull you in to be a part of that delivery. And all that we ask is that you have a clean trunk or back seat, or a covered bed of a large truck so that we can give you like 5 or 6 deliveries. Just come ready to be part of that special time. It starts at 9 a.m. and we'll go until we're finished, but we try to shoot for around noon on Saturday. We'll give you the address and the phone number of the family, and we take down your driver's license number and your license plate number for safety reasons, and send you about your way. And we'll make sure that if those gifts aren't deliverable, that you'll bring them back to us, but those families will get their gifts at the end of the day. And that's our holiday giving basket program put on by the Keizer Network of Women and by the helpful men of the Keizer Chamber. Thank you, Counselor Duran. Thank you. And then tomorrow we have our Christmas tree lighting down at Wallery Plaza, right north to Domino's. And Santa, I heard, will be coming. Is that correct?
He will be.
Okay.
Yep.
Fantastic.
I've been in contact with him.
Okay. So I think maybe we'll have a clearing of the weather at 6:45 for Santa to arrive. That's what I hear. We have a fun program of the McNary Honor Choir coming, and the National Guard Army Brass Quintet will be playing some great music for us. And our wonderful stilt walker will be out performing. Hopefully it won't be windy and rainy so she doesn't blow over. And we'll have free hot cocoa and cookies, and we will light that tree. And then, of course, on December 9th, we have our Keizer Holiday Lights Parade. The theme is Joy to the World, and we have about 60 entries, and that's not including the marching bands and our first responders. So we have a great program and show for you guys that night. So I hope that everybody can come out and take part. And I think you guys have received the food map in your packet, I hope. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Food truck, hot cocoa map. So find a place that you can go and stay warm. Several places will have an opportunity for you to go inside and get warmed up, grab some cookies and hot cocoa and some yummy food, and support our food truck businesses as well. But make sure you dress for the weather, because it will be cold and probably windy and rainy. But we're Keizer, Oregon, and we do parades no matter what. So come out and have fun. Am I right, Chief Copeland? All right. Any questions for us?
No, I think we've got a lot of this on our calendars, and on the permits and so forth. If you stick around, we'll go through those agenda items as well. I know there are some questions that we'll address at that point. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Pilardo, how many families are we delivering baskets to this year?
We have 392 families at this point of the program.
What a great program. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the work and all the volunteers that's gone into that, and thank you for bringing Mr. Christmas with you.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you much. We will see you up again here shortly. That is everybody I have signed up for public comment. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council before we go on to our public hearing? Okay, we will now go to our public hearing. I'm going to open a public hearing for the comprehensive plan map zone change partition case 2023-16 for property located at 1141 Jamawa Road North. Mr. Witham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So tonight we have a public hearing for exactly that property, 1141 Jamawa Road. Just a little bit about the property. It is where many of us would recognize Lawrence Sanitation business operation is. The property runs all the way through to the north to Willow Lake. And the application that we received in our office, the request was to partition off the approximate north 1 acre of that property so that it would have access to Willow Lake. The business function of Lawrence Sanitation remains the same. And the desire is to take that northern 1 acre and change the comprehensive plan designation and rezone it from a commercial designation in the comprehensive plan to a medium high density residential designation in the comp plan, and to do the zoning that is currently commercial general to residential medium density. And the desire is that they want to develop it with a 20-unit multifamily complex. This is a land use case that has public hearings both at a hearings officer level and at City Council. So this is our second public hearing on November 7th. We held a public hearing before the hearings officer. We did have one citizen testify that expressed some concerns with the design, support for the zone change, but would prefer to see something a little different in the design of the development. And the hearings officer's decision, which is attached, or his recommendation, kind of spells out some of the details on that. I don't want to belabor too much the presentation of the facts. We did attach both the staff's recommendation to the hearings officer for the hearing on November 7th, and then also the hearings officer, his recommendation to council. In both cases, the recommendation from staff and the hearings officer is to approve the applicant's request. And there are a slew of conditions included in that recommendation that would assure that the development of that property meets the city's standards. And I think with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you all might have.
Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, now is the time for the statutory notice, which I'll read for the participants and council. The applicable substantive criteria for this case is quite voluminous for the zone change, comprehensive plan change, and partition, so there's a lot of criteria there. I would propose waiving the actual reading of that. It is set forth in the staff report. Is there any objection to waiving the actual reading of that? Hearing none, will deem that waived. Testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed towards the criteria or other criteria in the plan or land use regulations which you believe apply to the decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the council and the parties an opportunity to respond to that issue precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. With regard for the applicant, the failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues related to any proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the local government or its designee to respond to that issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. With regard to the council, are there any declarations of conflicts of interest, bias, or ex parte contacts with this application? Hearing none, going to the participants now. For any participants, prior to the close of the hearing, you need to state any objections to bias, conflicts of interest, ex parte contacts, jurisdiction of the council to hear this matter, or opportunity to be heard. So if there's anything that you object to, you'll need to speak on that issue tonight. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. All right, were there any questions on the staff report or on the comprehensive plan map zone change case? Seeing none from council, I have two people signed up to testify. We'll start with Brandy Dalton, who is the applicant from Multi-Tech Engineering. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Brandy Dalton. I'm with Multi-Tech Engineering, and I'm here tonight representing the applicant. I'm going to keep this short so I can save any additional time that might be needed for rebuttal. Shane did a great job summarizing the application, and you also have all my findings and the traffic information and the site plan involved in the packet that shows how we're in compliance with all the code requirements for the comp plan zone change, along with the partition. As Shane stated, we're here tonight for a comp plan zone change and partition, but the comp plan zone change is only for the northern 1 acre of the site, which will allow future development of the property for housing needs within Keizer. We're not at that point yet. I know Shane mentioned that the last hearing, somebody talked about our concept that we provided that shows the 20 units. And the only reason we provided that was to show kind of how it could be developed. But that's in no way binding or how we're going to move forward at this point. So we're not there yet. So tonight we're just here to look at comp plan zone change and partition criteria, which we believe we've demonstrated compliance with. And we've also reviewed all the conditions of approval, and we have no problem with those, and neither does our client. So for the rest, I'll just be available for any questions and rebuttal.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Are there any questions for Ms. Dalton? We have no questions.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next, I have Ms. Rodriguez. Did you want to testify on this? You were signed up.
Oh, I did not know what I was signing up for. I was trying to talk about the other thing. I'm sorry.
Not a problem. I just wanted to make sure I had it right. That happens all the time when people see sign-up things, so no worries. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council on this matter? All right, before I close the public hearing, does the city council need any additional information or have any additional questions? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Council President Starr.
I move that the Keizer City Council direct staff to prepare an ordinance for adoption approving comprehensive plan map amendment, zone change, partition case 2023-16 for property located at 1141 Shamara Road North.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council direct staff to prepare an ordinance for adoption approving comprehensive plan map amendment, zone change, partition case 2023-16 for property located at 1141 Jamawa Road North. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. This will now go to item 8A for Lock Haven Drive North Flashing Beacon. Mr. Lawyer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have Scott Manser with DKS and Associates. He is the gentleman that prepared the memorandum for council. He's got some graphics to show. He's going to get that loaded up while I summarize the issue.
Is your microphone on?
I think so.
There you go.
Guess I got to eat it tonight. Excuse me. Staff initiated an engineering study to determine if a rectangular rapid flashing beacon, or an RRFB, was warranted for Lock Haven Drive North in the vicinity of McNary High School. The results of the study and recommendation of the consulting engineer indicate an RRFB could be installed at the intersection of Lock Haven Drive and McClure Street North. Lock Haven Drive is identified as a collector street in the city's transportation systems plan. It's 3 lanes wide with an eastbound travel lane, a westbound travel lane, and a two-way left turn lane. There is an existing school zone established at the intersection of McClure and Lock Haven that includes yellow flashing lights that operate before and after Keizer Elementary School hours. The proposal to install a rectangular rapid flashing beacon and other associated improvements necessary for that installation are estimated to cost about $100,000. Those funds are not identified in the current fiscal year 23-24 street fund budget. Staff recommends the city council follow the engineer's recommendation to install a rectangular rapid flashing beacon with ADA ramps, supplemental lighting, updated signing, and pavement markings. We also recommend following the engineer's recommendation to not provide any new marked crosswalks on Lock Haven Drive, as this would encourage pedestrians to cross Lock Haven Drive at Celtic Way and Lake Fair Place. And I'd be happy to answer questions, as would Mr. Manser.
Yep. All right, I'll go. I'm Scott Manser with DKS Associates. My address is 117 Commercial Street, Northeast, Suite 310, Salem, Oregon. So I just give you a little bit of an overview of the study. So looking at this general area, as you can see on the map behind, I don't have a pointer. It doesn't look like I can point. But Director Lawyer provided a pretty good overview, and you can see kind of the yellow area there by McClure Street. So we have 2 schools we're dealing with here and neighborhoods on both sides of Lock Haven Drive. So we have Keizer Elementary that is located up to the north of McClure Street, as you can see, and then McNary High School, which is just off of Celtic Way. And so we have the speeds right now on Lock Haven Drive are about 35 miles per hour. And during that school period, close to Keizer Elementary, that's when we have the flashing lights and the 20 mile per hour school zone. And so in the morning and afternoon, you have students crossing for the elementary, primarily at McClure Street. And then for McNary High School, you have the majority of the pedestrians crossing near McClure Street as well. And so you can kind of just see the general overview, but also of the neighborhoods as you think about students that are leaving McNary High School to go to the surrounding neighborhoods. If you cross it at Celtic Way, you end up having to get into the neighborhood at Lake Fair Place or at McClure Street anyway. And so as we look at kind of how the pedestrian flows, we did traffic counts in the morning and afternoon at each of these locations to collect the number of pedestrians and motor vehicles crossing at each of these locations. So I think I'll go to, let's see here. There we go. So here's the existing pedestrian data. So Keizer Elementary School ends at 2:20 p.m. and McNary High School ends at about 3:20, which was the peak time for pedestrians crossing. And as you can see at the crossing of McClure Street on the west crossing, you can see there was 110 students crossing from the elementary school during that peak period. And one thing to note too, there is a crossing guard that assists those students to cross at McClure Street today. And then in the afternoon when McNary releases, you can see that there's only 9 pedestrians crossing on that west leg. On the east leg, there were 2 elementary students crossing on the east leg and 0 for McNary. And then as you look at Celtic Way, you have between 5 and 24 pedestrians crossing the driveway in that general vicinity of the high school, and only 4 and 1 crossing at Celtic Way. And then at Lake Fair Drive, even fewer. You can see there's around 2 to 3 crossing along Lake Haven, and just crossing Lock Haven itself is just 1 during the peak period. And so as we looked at this data and where the traffic counts and what the benefit that this RFB will bring to the school is that crossing guard will not only be able to have their flag and help those students cross, but they'll be able to push a push button that will activate that flasher when they want to cross. They want to provide additional safety for those motor vehicles approaching and to help those students cross. And so as we look forward to this, they're really based on our traffic thresholds. You typically want to install an RFB when you have around 10 or more pedestrians crossing. And as you can see, we easily hit that at the McClure Street crossing, but we're not at that level at Celtic Way or Lake Fair Place. And so as we recommend, you really have 2 options. Option 1 would be to do nothing. You don't install a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. You kind of leave it as it's existing today. The second option would be to install the rectangular rapid flashing beacon at McClure Street. And Director Lawyer mentioned it runs about $100,000. I just installed one of these for the city of Salem at a location, and it was around $100,000 for both design and construction. So with that wraps up my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Questions on the study or the presentation? Councilor Asman, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you, sir. I appreciate your presentation here. I have a clarifying one.
Yes, absolutely.
How many drivers are heading westbound onto Lock Haven from Celtic Way? I'm trying to read your traffic count.
Oh, so
again to make sure.
turning from Celtic Way, the left turn?
Correct.
So to go northbound to westbound?
Yes.
Celtic Way. Give me a second, I'll pull that up for you. Here.
Thank you.
Yep. There we go. So it looks like there's about 25.
25, okay. Yep. And what's your time horizon on that?
That's the peak hour between 3 and 4 p.m.
Peak hour.
So that would be the release at the end of the McNary releases at 3:20 p.m. So that would be that hour right around the release time.
Awesome, thank you. May I ask a follow-up for Mr. Lawyer?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Bill, put you on the spot again.
It's okay.
We're addressing McClure. Why was Celtic Way? What were the factors again in ruling out Celtic Way as an option for the beacon's location?
The numbers, the pedestrian numbers, and Mr. Manser's recommendation.
Check. So we already have at least a painted crosswalk on McClure right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay. No other signage beyond just a basic pedestrian crossing sign.
No, it's established. It's an established school zone.
Okay.
Okay, so in addition to the flashing lights that operate during the elementary school, morning and afternoon times, the signs are there all the time, notifying drivers of the school zone. The difference is when the lights flash, then the speed limit is reduced to 20 miles an hour. But the school zone is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Check. Okay. Thank you for that.
Okay, and that's only at Keizer Elementary, not at McNary, because the high school has a different standard.
That's correct.
Council President Starr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So in terms of standards for school zone speed limits, I'm just wondering if did we look at, if we're gonna put the rapid flashing beacon at McClure Street per the recommendation, which is, I agree with, did we look at the pros and cons to extending the school zone speed limit from what would that be? The furthest west point on Lock Haven to before we start getting close to McNary?
So I just pulled up this. So what you're asking is
Thank you very much.
Yes. So right here, you're asking, could we extend this over this direction? Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, along the boundary, the high
Along the
school
boundary, like to Lake Fair. Like reduce the speed limit. Was there a pro and con? Did we look at that?
Do you want me to take a cut? Respond? Okay. I'd be happy to answer that. So guidance in Oregon, so if you look at kind of the Oregon guidance for school zones, they're typically only, the flashing lights and the school speed zones are only applicable at elementary schools and middle schools. So if you go around Oregon, you'll notice most elementary and middle schools have school speed zones along their boundaries. Because the elementary and middle schools are considered more vulnerable than high school students. Now, that's guidance. So I'm going to give you an example. Marion County, they did not have a school speed zone in front of Cascade High School. They had a couple of events, and so they went ahead and applied that school speed zone. So typically, as you go into most cities in Oregon, they only have school speed zones in front of elementary and middle schools, and that's why. Is there anything stopping the city from expanding that school speed zone? No, they would just have to go through the process to make that change.
And so thank you for that, because Mr. Lawyer knows what I think about guidance when it comes to traffic safety. Always like to do as much as we can. What does that process look like?
I've gone through it with several cities, but typically I believe you have to just have an engineering study that makes the recommendation for the expansion of the school speed zone.
And so have we had that conversation internally about making that recommendation?
We have not. And that is primarily because historically in Keizer, we've followed the guidelines around the school zones, and the high school didn't meet the guidelines, so we never looked at extending the school zone to include the high school.
But just to clarify, it's guidance. It doesn't mean that we can't do that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I would say that it would be not confusing, but it's going to be odd to have the flashers operate on two different schedules. And without knowing for sure the program timing for that school zone right now, we might have a period of 5 minutes where it turns off before it turns on again.
Does it have to turn off?
Well, it wouldn't have to. We'd have to look at the timing and how long it's scheduled for. That's the one, for the public's understanding of the school zone, I would recommend it run all the time, constant, from the beginning of the elementary time to the end of the high school.
I would agree with that.
But if that time period's an hour or an hour and 10 minutes, that's probably too long, because there'll be a period of time when there's nobody there and people are going to ignore those lights. So we just have to look into it and refine the timing of those lights is what I'm trying to
Maybe
say.
I can clarify a little bit more too. There's guidance for the school speed zones, but there's also OARs for requirements for how you operate the school speed zone. So I'd be happy to kind of work with Director Lawyer to kind of share some of the issues that we would have to work through to make that change. Just the steps that we'd have to walk through the process.
Thank you.
Counselor Husband?
A comment for you gentlemen to inform my thinking and partly why I asked about that left hook. So my dad was for more than a decade a driver's education instructor in the area. He taught at McNary, several other schools in the Salem-Keizer area, as well as in Portland. I could have him come in here, suffice it to say, and bring up all the crash statistics and other information around teen drivers, but suffice it to say, they are the highest risk driving population in any city, in any country, in any state at any time. They will be using Celtic Way often. There are obviously targeted times in which they'll come in and out, but we still nevertheless have kids on release periods who are driving north, turning left, and maybe not paying attention as they do. So when I see this, I think about the need for having that entire intersection be safe, because fundamentally, it's understandable that the pedestrians are only going to certain parts because eventually neighborhoods kind of end. You only have the one apartment complex further east on River Road coming up to Lock Haven, and there is no access point at the McNary Oaks mobile home park for any students who may be living there. So while that does create a challenge, we're still looking at, I believe, potential safety hazards with kids coming through at really all hours for various reasons. They may be on lunch, they may be on release, they may be on different class schedules, they may have volunteer opportunities. And we're having elementary school kids coming through at designated times while we're also trying to influence a safe walking area for a high school population. So I see where Council President Starr is going with respect to extending a school zone speed limit through that area because of the different types of traffic that we're ultimately going to see in that area. That's all I got, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Chief, are you aware of crash statistics at that intersection of Celtic Way and Lock Haven?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, I know. I was got asked the same question. We don't have a history of crashes there. I could pull numbers over the last 10, 20 years, and they're going to be very, very few. We've had crashes in McNary parking lot, backing up problems, and we've had one pretty severe crash at McClure and Lock Haven several years ago, but that was due to a teenage driver doing a U-turn, wanting to go the other direction. Other than that, anecdotally right now, we have very, very few.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm going to follow up with, there's a clear recommendation to get into the queue for a rapid flashing beacon, and I appreciate the work on that. For the McNary sector, we have been doing the speed signs in directions for particular areas. We did it on Shoreline. One is in the works for Alder. For the McNary portion, has there been conversation about putting the flashing speed signs at Newburgh and Lake Fair? Newburgh eastbound, Lake Fair westbound, to let people know what their speeds are as they enter that, what is essentially the boundaries of McNary while they're on Lock Haven and traveling, making them aware of their speeds so they can watch it as they're moving through that, that school property area.
Madam Mayor, there are currently flashing speed signs on Lock Haven Drive. For westbound traffic, I believe the sign is about the middle of the high school property.
Okay.
And for eastbound traffic, it is east of McClure, and I believe it's just east of Joan Drive. So it is in that straight stretch of
Right.
Lock Haven. They are visible before the high school, and well, before Celtic Way for sure, westbound,
Okay.
and before the high school eastbound.
And obviously, I don't drive that road very much, or I would know that. So thank you for
Those
filling
were
in my
placed,
gaps.
I don't know how many years ago now, at the request of the police department, actually, to help control speeding on Lock Haven because it's a road that people like to drive fast on. So,
Right. All right, thank you very much. Mr. Brown? Oh, use Counselor Woodard.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. So I have a little bit of personal experience, or for McClure and Lock Haven at least. So I walked
Yeah, I don't think the microphone's working.
It is now.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, there we go. And so I walked to school basically for 2 years, and every day
I'd cross McClure and Lock Haven, and that's definitely can be a really challenging intersection to cross because a lot of the time there's not a crosswalk there, like there's not for any of the McNary hours in the morning, and then it's definitely a lot of elementary schoolers. Like I kind of have a unique schedule, and I kind of did last year too. So sometimes I'll be driving home around the times that the elementary schoolers got out, and there's a ton of parents, kids on scooters, bikes, crossing, and that's definitely an intersection that I definitely think needs as much help as it can get, because there's a lot of people that don't necessarily stop for pedestrians, and there's not a lot of kind of, other than the flashing lights during the elementary school hours, there's not a lot of preventatives and things that can help the pedestrians like cross the intersection. And I definitely think that's probably the main one that I can think of that we need help.
Thank you. I appreciate that insight. So, any other questions on the study or the recommendation at this point for the rapid flashing beacon? What I'm hearing is that we need to also continue to look at options around McNary High School. The one thought being to expand the school zone to include both schools in one area. So would council be interested in staff bringing back options regarding the school zone operability or feasibility for that sector?
Yes, please.
I would be interested in that too, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I'm getting head nods, yes, yes. So that would be some helpful follow-up information for us, and appreciate that. As far as the rapid flashing beacon, would the decision point at this point be to get that into the planning queue for budgeting? Obviously can't happen this fiscal year. You've managed to pull $14,000 out of your magic hat. I don't think you have 100,000 lying under a rock.
no, I haven't found that big of a rock yet.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out for some big rocks.
But, Madam Mayor, if I may, I believe we could do the study of the school zone expansion and have answers back to council well ahead of needing to have the for sure move to put the rapid flashing beacon in next year's budget.
Okay.
I don't know if that made any sense or not.
I think what I heard was that you can get the data back to us. We can have another conversation about the rapid flashing beacon and the expansion of the school zone at the same time. My question back to you is there any doubt that getting a rapid flashing beacon into the mix is going to go forward?
No, there's no doubt. From a budgeting standpoint, no.
Okay.
No. I guess what I'm hearing is, and maybe I'm not hearing accurately, I thought I was hearing a little bit of hesitation in wanting the rapid flashing beacon if the school zone could be expanded.
No, that was not the message.
I misunderstood. My fault then.
Yeah, it's
Okay, my bad.
Yes, please.
Got it. It's
a both and?
It's a both and. Okay.
It's a both and, for
Okay,
sure.
got it.
It's a both and.
The idea that
Councilor Husman?
Yeah, sorry. To elaborate, Mr. Lawyer, my idea as I see this is the rapid flashing beacon has clear and definite utility at the McClure intersection, while an extension of the school zone through the area highlighted in our helpful map here is also conducive to hitting the area at the margin, so we don't necessarily have cars slamming into an area with lighted crosswalk, but during school hours, going through a more gradual speed, going through that area at a more gradual speed over time.
Got it.
Right, got
My
it.
misunderstanding, I apologize.
Yep, so rapid flashing beacon, thank you for the information. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I noticed in these traffic studies that these are all just motorized vehicles, and I know that we have a lot of like quarry trucks coming through that area, and does that make any difference? I would think that they take a little bit longer to stop or slow down. Does that make any difference, or should that be taken into consideration?
Yeah, we did collect the data, and we have the number of trucks that were counted, and it went into the kind of recommendation for installing the RFB at that location.
Okay, and I guess the same questions would apply for the extended school zone as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I believe we are agreed that we support staff recommendation to move forward with the rapid flashing beacon at McClure, and we would like to hear more about the school's expansion option, school zone. Let's get it right. Expansion option, Mr. Johnson.
With regard to the actual question on the beacon, there's a proposed motion, so.
Oh, there we
I
go.
would suggest going ahead with the proposed motion.
I wasn't on that page. All right. Anything else before we go to put a motion on the table? Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There was some discussion about expanding the westbound border of that also, and I'm not sure that that's necessary because that mobile home park is a senior park, and there are very, very few students there.
But there's no drive, okay. I'm not gonna argue it. Council President Starr. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Point of order, do we need to put any motion on the table to direct staff to consider the extended 20 mile per hour school zone?
We'll take care of one, and then I believe we've given the staff guidance on that. Am I correct?
If we could take care of the first
First
motion,
one first.
then we
Let's-
could
one
maybe
at a
chat
time.
briefly about the other issue.
Okay. Item number 1, Council President Starr.
Sure, I can read it. I move that the Keizer City Council direct staff to follow the engineer's recommendation to install a rectangular rapid flashing beacon with the ADA ramps, supplemental lighting, updated signage, and pavement markings by including this project in the next fiscal budget.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council direct staff to follow the engineer's recommendation to install a rectangular rapid flashing beacon with the ADA ramp, supplemental lighting, updated signing, and pavement markings by including this project in the next fiscal budget. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. So for the study for the expansion, the extent and expansion and options for the school zone, do you want a motion on the table for that, or have we given sufficient guidance?
I just want to make sure that Mr. Lawyer is clear on what the direction is if he has any questions. I wasn't certain, and perhaps a motion would be better on whether you're asking to do a full study or just kind of come back with preliminary thoughts before they dive all the way in. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Bill or Scott.
I guess my only thought, and for clarity in my own mind, is would you want me to bring this back as an agenda item at a future council meeting, or would you just bring back an update once Mr. Mansur and I look at the opportunity and what could be done on Lock Haven with the school zone?
I think that kind of depends. It depends on what you find. If we find we don't have workable options, the update would at least let us know that. But I would expect that if there's an opportunity for action, to bring it back as an agenda item for our consideration.
Okay.
Council President Starr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So so now it's getting late. I'm past my bedtime and I'm have lots running through my head. I would think that the report or your updated findings would come back to us on the council as an agenda item, and then we would deliberate on whether or not we want to direct staff to do something further. Is
Okay.
that what,
fine,
is that how I make the mess of the noodles in my head?
Yes, that gives me clear understanding and direction on what we need to accomplish and bring back to council. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Is the rest of the council okay with that?
By
That
consensus?
of council to do preliminary work and bring it back as an agenda item?
Yes, please. Sounds good.
Will do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to go now to item 8B, which is resolution authorizing the city manager to award and enter into a contract with Benchmark Contracting, Inc. for construction of Keizer Rapids turf fields. Mr. Brown, does this go to you or to Mr. Lawyer?
Mr. Lawyer has this item.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Brown. Phase 1 of this project includes the construction of 2 turf fields, field lighting, fencing of the fields, and a gravel parking area. The turf field design was originally to include not only the fields, fencing, lights, but also a parking lot, paved parking lot, equipment storage building, bathroom, and food truck pads. The original estimates exceeded the current budget, so only the field was put out for bid. The Public Works Department solicited bids through the formal bidding process for the construction of the 2 fields, field lighting, and a gravel parking area to serve the fields. A total of 14 bids were received and opened on Tuesday, November 14th, 2023 at 2 p.m. The bids ranged from a high of $4,180,000 to a low of $3,279,000. The lowest responsive bid was submitted by Benchmark Contracting Incorporated. The engineer's estimate for this project was $4 million. Excuse me. The city will be provided up to $2 million in ARPA funding from Marion County for this project on a reimbursement basis. The city council, through the fiscal year 23-24 budget process, allocated $2 million in city ARPA funds toward the project. The remainder of the county and city funds, matching funds, will be reserved for the remaining phase of the project, which will rely on some fundraising and possible grant applications. Staff recommends the city council adopt the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into or to award the contract with Benchmark Contracting Incorporated. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report or the contract for the turf fields? Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Maybe I missed it, but what happens if there's overruns in with this contract?
There are still funds available.
But there's nothing in the maybe I missed it, but there's nothing in the contract that it's not just, oh, it's costing more, so we're gonna keep writing the check.
No, it's a lump sum bid, lump sum contract, okay?
So.
Without a change order negotiated with the city and the contractor, the price is $3,279,000.
That makes me very happy to hear that. Thank you, Mr. Lawyer.
Any further questions? Council President Starr.
I am so excited to make this motion. I move that Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R2023 authorizing the city manager to award and enter into a contract with Benchmark Contracting, Inc. for construction of Keizer Rapids turf fields.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R2023 authorizing the city manager to award and enter into a contract with Benchmark Contracting, Inc. for construction of Keizer Rapids turf fields. Discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. I would like to thank our staff for doing an amazing job with this project, for scoping, engineering, outreach, communications on this project all the way through, and we look forward to this next phase where it actually comes to fruition. Well done. Thank you so much. We're going to item 8C, which is discussion on proposed ordinance to restrict new fees. I understand this goes to Councilor Kohler.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate that. What I'd like to do is have a discussion on the preparation of an ordinance to restrict new fees, not to change any of the fees that we currently have, but if we are going to propose a fee, that the voters have an opportunity to express their opinions via the voters box.
Okay. We have absolutely nothing in writing at this point.
When I consulted with Mr. Johnson about it, he said that rather than put it in writing right now, that we should have a discussion about it, and then he would be able to put it in the writing, the form that would be necessary for that.
Is there a type of fee you're talking about? Because there's a variety of fees that we levy here for public works, our franchise fees, so forth. So is there some definition here?
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So there has been some discussion over the years about just adding additional fee to the public services bill and having something new happen. And so let's say, for example, we decided we're going to put a Parks and Recreation Department together, and that would cost a significant amount of money. And rather than have the ability to just say, oh, well, we'll just figure $20 a piece on the service bill and push that forward as a council without having a vote of the people, we wouldn't be able to do that. But if we wanted to do that, and they wanted, if the public says, yeah, well, take $20 a month and put toward a Parks and Rec fee, then we could do that. But as far as, well, for example, like we did with the library, the public said, we don't really want to have a library now. As far as the fees, we don't want to do that. Now, if there's a way that we want to propose some additional services with a fee, let's do that, fine, but let's do it with a vote of the people and not just a decision made by us.
That went to a vote,
What?
the library fee,
It did. I say like the library fee.
right. Okay, okay. Anything from anyone else? Counselor Cross?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am in complete support of this motion. I believe that it's an act of good faith in that I want our residents to have a voice. And that's where I'm at.
Okay. Counselor Duran?
Yeah, I also feel that anything new needs to go to the voters when it comes to fees.
So we have quite a few, I'm looking at Mr. Witham, because we do a number of planning fees, and we recently unanimously approved our new fee schedule with some additional fees that we are charging for some new services that we provide through our planning department. Definition process is everything here, because we have a lot of things that are called fees, so we need some definition. Mr. Johnson?
Councilor Kohler can correct me, but I believe your proposal was limiting this discussion only to the utility service fees. Is that correct?
Correct.
So if we had something like we've had a few years ago with the stormwater fee that we had to correct, that we had to create in order to remain compliant with US federal regulations, that went on the our utility fees, because not doing so was going to cost us $25,000 a day to be out of compliance. That's on that bill.
Just a clarification, something that's mandated by the state or by federal regulation is different than let's put together another entity or another process that we may or may not want to have as a city. Maybe some people say, gosh, that would be a great idea to have that, but maybe not everybody would. So things that are optional, they ought to have an opportunity to vote on it. Things that are mandated, that's a whole nother ballpark.
So you see where I'm going here, is that we're talking about a lot of generalities, but I'm a little confused by this, this agenda item which kind of threw everything out there, and I've had a lot of questions, just even reading the title, going, what are you talking about? I didn't have any definition, and I've already had, asked 3 different questions, and I'm still not clear about what you're talking about. So would it be possible to come back with something in writing? Counselor Duran, and then I'll go to Counselor Reed.
So that's what we're talking about here. I think at this point, we're talking about what we want to do, and we want to draft something that is appropriate for this position. I'm not saying we do it right now, but we allow the discussion and allow our legal team to come up with the best information for us to talk about in the future.
Counselor Reed.
Okay, I think that in this world that we live in, where we are significantly restrained by our measures 50 and 5 and 50, we need all the tools to provide services that we can. And I think that this is a horrible way to limit our options. And, it is our responsibility as a council to provide services that the city needs. And so I think that we need to be able to keep our options open. I think, we have some precedent where this has been done effectively. And I think that it's a little bit presumptuous to assume that this kind of thing will be abused in that we always, do our due diligence whenever we undertake something like this. And I think it's disingenuous to be able to put that onus on the public to understand things that it is our responsibility as a council to understand. So I think we need to keep our options open in any way we can.
Thank you. I guess, Counselor Cross?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't think there's anything horrible or disingenuous about wanting people to vote.
Counselor Duran? Did you have something? Okay. So going along with, one moment, please, with what Counselor Reed said, we have had, I'm allowed to speak, Counselor Cross. Thank you. That's fantastic. We have the obligation to be able to deal with issues that come up. We deal with new fees for our planning. We deal with new fees for using our parks. We deal with new fees for franchising. We're going to be having conversation about right-of-way, and that's going to be fees. So I think that a lot of this has to do with definition, but I'm going to agree with Councilor Reed. We have a 40-year history of this city, of a lot of city councilors, and may I also point out that even if an ordinance were passed tonight, that would not bind future councils. A future council could rescind that ordinance if they so chose and needed to take care of the needs of the city. So it is not something that is a permanent fix, but I think a more important point is to know what we're talking about, to look at the precedents of this council, the staff, and this community that has been very, very conservative about what fees to put together, how to put them together, how to do outreach, and figure out what is going to fund basic services for our community. So I keep asking questions because I want to understand what exactly the 3 of you are asking for, and I need a proposal in writing before I ask staff to move forward with anything in this area. So I'm not in favor of putting this to staff at this time until I see this in writing from the 3 of you, what you agreed upon.
Well, we certainly can provide that for you, but when I talked to Mr. Johnson about putting that together, his indication was we should have a discussion about it first, and then he'd know what he should put together, rather than spend staff time doing that without that input.
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, that wasn't exactly what I remember the discussion, Councilor Kohler. What I said was put on the agenda and there was nothing in writing, not necessarily that we were supposed to get direction first. So this is one of those items that, 3 councilors can put any item on the agenda, but unfortunately, unless there's something in writing to kind of frame the discussion, it's difficult to get through the night. Mr. Brown and I'd be glad to take any direction council gives us. If you want to look into it further, there's some pluses and minuses to this and some obvious clarifications that need to be made with regard to the proposal. I think the clear proposal was that it only applied to the public services bill. The issue council, the mayor raised is a good one with regard to any limitations with mandated programs. It is simply now a matter of whether or not the council wants staff to look into the issue any further. So I'll leave that with council.
Thank you very much. So at this point, I believe it would have to be a motion of council to direct staff in that regard. Is there someone who wants to put a motion on the table? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The whole idea here is that I hear from many constituents that they don't want us to just put a new division or a new plan or a new, like the library together without them having a full say. Now, the parks fee and the police fee are something that was put together with a lot of work and a lot of effort. There was a lot of things that went on to get public opinion on that, but I still get a lot of people that say, man, every time I pay this, I'm ticked that I didn't have an opportunity to say something. Now, they probably had an opportunity, they just didn't take the opportunity or didn't understand. But when it's on the ballot and they have an opportunity to say, yes, I want to have a police fee to make Keizer safer, then that's a clear indication of what they want. And so that's the type of thing that I would like to push forward.
Was that a motion?
It is not. But if you want a worded motion, we can get that put together and we'll review that, Mr. Johnson and Mr. Brown, and we'll get that to you soon.
So that would be, we're not directing staff to come back with that. This would be from you to get to turn in for an agenda item
Yes, ma'am.
in writing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to now go to item 8.
Can I make another note?
I was moving on.
Okay.
Item 8D, which is resolution authorizing a temporary suspension of the ordinance prohibiting street vendors, and a resolution authorizing temporary use of subject to conditions for Keizer Holiday Lights Parade 2023. This goes to, who drew the short straw? Mr. Brown?
Yeah. I was thinking this was Mr. Johnson that did this, but did we work together on this one?
Probably.
Then we pull it up. This is for the holiday light parade. Oh, actually, Melissa actually helped us through this one. We have a proposal before you to get to suspend the ordinance prohibiting street vendors and the temporary use of subject to conditions for the Keizer Lights Parade. This has kind of been a long-standing tradition of getting these approvals every time the Keizer Parade rolls around. So this would be familiar to most of you who have been on the council already. There is a request to waive some application fees. The city does have approximately $9,000 invested in human resources, people involved in this parade. And it is very timely because the parade is next Saturday. So.
Yeah. It's 5 days from now. Okay. I'm not going to ask if there are questions because I've got them and I imagine a number of you do as well. The event application was due 75 days before the event, is that correct? According to the application.
is it 60 or? Yeah, I think.
It says 75 at the top.
Yep.
Okay, and this is 5. So this really puts, I mean, everybody's been busting to get everything turned in and get it on this agenda. I want to thank staff for quickly responding and getting through the process to get it to the packet. I've got questions on the section having to do with the food truck permits. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for a phone call this afternoon to answer some of my questions. So I'd like at least to understand a little bit better about the process for the food truck vendors. Ms. Flordo, can I ask you a couple questions about the food trucks, please? Or, okay, you'll have to be at the microphone because that's being recorded. Okay, thank you so much. So I was reading in the application, and it may be what we've done in the past, but we've also changed our mobile food vendor ordinance. So I wanted to understand what does it look like with the, we have 2 different groups of properties. We have some that already have a mobile food vendor site plan, like Copper Creek, and others that don't. So is it the same for both of them, the agreement you have with them, or based on their site plan, or is it something that the chamber works with the property owner for the site plan for the mobile food vendors?
I'm not sure I'm understanding what you're asking me.
Each mobile food vendor has, when they are placed on a site, has to be placed according to the mobile food vendor ordinance, and I know Mr. Witham works on those. So each of these sites that you identified, some of them have a site plan where they already have approved food vendor locations and others don't. Like, I don't think Willamette Valley Bank has a permanent site, but I could be wrong. Mr. Witham?
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think on the list that I reviewed, and I had asked this question, I think the only one I know of is the Copper Creek Mercantile. They have a premise permit that already is approved for multiple trucks. So I'd asked Attorney Johnson to make sure there was some language in there that would clarify that we weren't telling the folks that are already permitted and that are there that they would be affected by the proposal. Okay. So, and I think it, I think it does that, right?
No.
So that was the issue with the resolution, so that if the food truck was at the Copper Creek site, the ones that are already there and approved, those can continue to be there as well.
Right. So this is, I don't know if it's separate or apart, but that would be a conversation between the property owner and the Chamber of Commerce, separate and apart from, I mean, the city already gave them a permit. They're good to go. So we're not really involved in permitting that unless there's going to be another one. And wouldn't that be part of the event permit? Or are they going to be using their existing ones? Do you know?
So we have a food truck application that they submit to us. We charge them a fee to be a food truck vendor during the permit. We collect their food truck permit from Marion County so that we have that on record so that they're permitted to serve food. I have talked to Dennis Blackman at Copper Creek and they're planning to be open. We don't charge them a fee because they're regular vending at their site of business. This application process is for food vendors to come and be a part of the parade so that they can run their business as part of the parade. Also, I was not aware that there's a food truck ordinance in place. So I guess if that's something that I need to be aware of, it would be nice to have that information before I submit my application. I think that's a continuing issue between the city and myself when coming to permits. I was not aware of the insurance increase too when it came to this permit, so there was a holdup in submitting these applications. I do apologize for dropping the ball on the permits. That is my fault, and I'll own that. But I was not aware of the insurance issue. I wasn't aware of the ordinance passed on September 18th, and that provides a hang up for me to try to get that going. So if we need to do those things, we need to be made aware of those changes and those ordinance put in place. So, and that's not just, that's on our website or that's emailed to you. That's, hey, partner, Keizer Chamber, you need to be aware of this change so that we can actually do our job and make sure it's done correctly so that I can serve you as a private entity in Keizer to the best of my ability.
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Johnson.
I want to clarify so everybody understands. that In this situation, there's no requirement to go through the food truck ordinance. The food truck ordinance specifically has a provision in it that says this ordinance does not need to be followed if the food truck is allowed by any other city permit. We use that particular clause for food trucks at the amphitheater. So somebody comes in and gets an amphitheater permit, they don't have to submit the other one too. It's taken care of in one permit, which is the amphitheater permit. The same thing we've been doing for several years with both parades here. So this is not unusual. The permit, and you can see in the exhibit attached to the resolution, it's allowed. We've had that for several years, like I said, on both permits. So this is not unusual. It's just that we want to make sure the locations, we need to know how many locations and where how many businesses locations, and then where a location, the planning director approves the location of the food truck on those locations. So there's no requirement to add any additional red tape or any other applications for food trucks. It's allowed under the under this permit, the parade special event permit.
But just to follow up though, the site for each food truck complies with our standard mobile food vendor in terms of they have to have their permit, we have to know where they're going to be on the site, and that's Mr. Witham, correct? Right. Okay, for all of those. Okay, thank you, that helps. Any other questions before I have another one for this? Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Brown.
Mr. Johnson, please help me if I mistake this, but on September 18th, we revised the special event permits for surrounding the Keizer Miracle of Lights, and it was really only with respect to long-term events. The insurance change actually was not part of that.
The insurance, I think, applied, we're talking about the dollar limits applied to all of the events.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't we discuss that back in June, though?
Pardon?
Didn't we discuss that back in June?
Oh, I see what you're getting at. I don't know at which time that got changed. It wasn't, whether it was part of that or another matter.
It was a map. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, you have a question? Council President Starr.
So I just want to make sure, and again, past my bedtime, turning into a pumpkin. We have to give permission from the city for a private business on private property to put a food truck? For one, I'm just trying to wrap my head around
are you
that.
talking about the parade event or just generally?
I mean, if they're all licensed through every entity that they're supposed to be, we still have to give them a license? Just in general.
a separate
I mean,
issue, okay.
just in general, and then that would apply to
I
me,
got it.
and my simple brain would apply
Sure.
to this event.
Yeah, Councilor Starr, I think it's a super valid question. I'll give you kind of quick, a quick breakdown, try to short, because I'm also turning into a pumpkin. So historically, food trucks, other mobile vendors were allowed as a temporary use. So every property in Keizer, because of zoning, there are uses associated with any property, whether or not it's our homes, or it's an apartment complex, or it's a business. And so temporary uses were limited and had always been limited to 90 days in a calendar year. And that's more for your Christmas tree stands, your Valentine's Day stands, the little kind of pop-up type of shops, and a very cheap permit. We make sure it's not a traffic safety. That's kind of the short, quick review that we do. And what we had is we had a lot of problems with food truck vendors because they wanted to be located on sites for longer than 90 days. It wouldn't give them enough time to develop and establish customer clientele. And then also like the food truck industry blew up. I mean, it's been a while ago now. And so in response to that, the city did make some changes and they carved out a path. And I think we changed the ordinance maybe twice because we started down one road and then it wasn't super great because it was licensing every individual truck. And then at some point, the council had a great idea. Let's license the spots. So somebody owns a property, you want to get food trucks and a different truck can come in each and every day. We don't really care. We want to make sure that the trucks are established on a site that aren't going to impact pedestrians, bicycles, parking, all of that. And so that's for more of a permanent, once somebody has a premise permit, they can have a food truck there permanently every day. And we do have standards that kind of go along with those. Now with the Holiday Lights Parade, with the Iris Festival Parade, honestly, we've had multiple churches in town do a small weekend event. Our complex itself has done this, and we've granted ourselves a temporary use permit to bring food trucks in for a very limited duration, which is a much lessened and different threshold than we would look at than if somebody were to come and have a food truck established every single day on a site in one location. So this is kind of in lieu. Yeah, so this is kind of in lieu of doing a temporary use permit on each individual site or a permanent premise permit. So it's kind of like was supposed to be the least resistant path.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, I think that really clears up a lot of stuff, and I appreciate that. With the mobile food vendors, I know that was something we've gone around many times over the years, and hopefully this, especially with the site plan, was supposed to simplify everything. If you have private property and you want to have mobile food vendors and you put together a site, great, go for it. But this is where we've got two varieties in this particular list. So I want to make sure we were clear that we're not telling an already permitted site that we're going to change anything on them. That's already permitted, they're good to go. So I think that was a piece I wanted to clarify. How do you get the permission from the property owners? In what form?
I call them and ask them.
Okay, is there anything in writing?
I do a email meetup, and they email each other and take care of it from there.
I'm confused.
A warm introduction via email after everybody agrees.
Okay, and then, so you're matchmaker.
Mm-hmm.
You say, property owner, here's a food truck vendor, meet, and then they have a written agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Anything else on the permit that we need to know about tonight? Anything else that changed on the permit from last year that we need to know about tonight?
I would like to mention that the River Road closes at 6:30, not 6:15.
Okay. Of course, if we tell them a little earlier, they'll park and maybe get off the road sooner, which would be great. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate answering the questions. All right, Council President Starr, are you ready to put a motion on the table?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want one at a time or both of them together?
One at a time, please.
I move the Keizer City Council adopt resolution R2023 authorizing the temporary suspension of the ordinance prohibiting street vendors.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt resolution R 2023 authorizing a temporary suspension of the ordinance prohibiting street vendors. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no.
No.
Motion passes with one no, that's Councilor Hussman. All right, thank you very much.
Can I do the second one?
You may do the second one.
Thank you. I move the Keizer City Council adopt resolution R2023 authorizing temporary uses subject to conditions for the Keizer Holiday Lights Parade in 2023.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt resolution R 2023 authorizing temporary uses subject to conditions for Keizer Holiday Lights Parade 2023. Discussion, and I've got one possible friendly amendment. I talked with Councilor Johnson. about adding into section 2, no food truck cart may be placed without property owner's permission. And the reason I asked about written was because that wasn't specified. And I would like to do a friendly amendment to add written to that, that provision. Would the mover accept it?
I would want to make sure that that's not going to.
Torpedo everything?
Yes.
That scares, that's,
So at this point, I would not accept that friendly amendment.
so I will withdraw that and add it to my, let's talk about this afterwards, list of things to do, because I don't want to torpedo this either, but we didn't specify.
Well, so can we discuss yet?
Yes, we're discussion.
I lost where we were at.
We're discussion.
If I heard Corey, she has them registered and has the forms because they filled them out already. So it is in writing.
That is writing, okay.
Right?
But she doesn't necessarily have the property owner and the food truck written permission, because they worked that out themselves.
So then why isn't it in the permit? If we're not giving the chamber permission, she is simply matching up as a business arrangement between the chamber, the property owner, and the food truck.
But why would the?
Oh, the site design.
So it is kind of the development code's fault. It's the same as I apologize, Madam
No, no,
Mayor.
please.
It is sort of the development code's fault because of temporary use permits, because of the sign zoning permit section of the code. This is like, there's a provision in the code that says for citywide festivals and events, the council has kind of carte blanche to allow for temporary uses, temporary signs, and all of it, if it's in the purview of council, that it's benefit to the community. So this is kind of a way with the chamber getting the permit for the whole event, they can throw all the food trucks that they want to use in there. Otherwise, each individual business owner that wanted to match up would need to get their own temporary use permit for that night of the event. I would prefer not to do it that way.
And I just think.
Granted as fact.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like if they've already filled out the form for the parade with the chamber and paid the fee that Corey mentioned, I feel like then they
Yeah.
probably already connected up and got permission. And because I wouldn't write a check if I were a small business.
Well, I
I'd fill
wouldn't,
out a form if I didn't have permission, but that's just me.
well, this whole insurance thing, it would also be a thing that's between the property owner and the food truck vendor, right?
So, yeah.
Okay. This has just really confused me, knowing how we've tried to simplify, make it easier for property owners, but to see us trying to use an event permit for a property owner, and we're not in charge of that relationship. That's what's bothering me. But can we just put a pin in refining this? So what we're specifically looking at is not giving permission for the food truck to be at that site, but for the site plan. And review the layout, because that's really all we do anymore. And we say, you have to comply, you have to have your license, that's between all y'all. But the city is not placing we're not doing the approval of food trucks, we're approving the site plan that allows for those to happen. I know it's a nuance, but I think it's more consistent with our current simpler approach to food truck, mobile food vendors. Does that make sense? Councilor Joanne?
So this is like a 4-hour event, you know,
I know.
from the time the food truck gets there till the time the
Microphone,
food truck
there you go.
leaves. It's on.
Okay.
So that, it just seems like you're asking for a lot for a quickie drive-in, set up real quick and then back out.
We already do it. That's the thing, the site has to be permitted. The layout where they park is already in there. So that's all we're really looking at is where they're going to be, right, Mr. Witham?
Not the same as like our premise permit. We're not doing a site plan review for the premise permit. This is literally the Exhibit A that I reviewed, I had a concern because there was in my mind, had my name on it or my title on it, that I was supposed to review the locations. And for the parade, as Councilor Dran said, the 4-hour event, food truck comes in and wants to park anywhere in St. Edward's parking lot, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter, it's for the event, that's it. Now, if they wanted to locate at those locations forever, that's a little different, because there may be some concerns with vision clearance and things like that for operational concerns. But in this case, there was one location that I did have a concern with, because it was somewhat ambiguous on Copper Creek, the fact that there is a premise permit, and Rogelio has worked hard to keep carts in that place, working with Dennis. So I didn't want it to be one of those things where they could not be there operating or something like that. So I wanted some clarification personally, which I think this Exhibit A does that. So I mean, I do think it can be as simple or as complex as it needs to. For an event like this, we need to know the locations, and then we can condition it accordingly to say, hey, don't block the street, don't park on hydrants, things like that.
Parking on hydrants would be a really bad idea.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
does that help?
It does, a lot. Thank you. All right, anything further? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no.
No.
No. Motion passes with 2 no. That's Clark and Husband. All right, thank you very much. That takes us to the consent calendar. Council President Starr, would you please read the items on tonight's consent calendar?
Consent calendar item A, resolution authorizing city manager to sign intergovernmental agreement between the state of Oregon and city of Keizer for city of Keizer climate friendly and equitable communities scenario planning implementation. Item B, resolution authorizing city manager to enter into second amendment of right-of-way landscape and vegetated stormwater facility maintenance services contract with GT Landscape Solutions. Item C, approval of November 6th, 2023 regular session meeting minutes. And item D, approval of November 13th, 2023 work session meeting minutes.
Thank you very much. Are there any polls? Seeing no polls, Council President Starr?
I move that the Keizer City Council adopt the consent calendar as written.
Second?
Consent calendar items A, B, and C, 9A, B, C, and D have been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously for the consent calendar. Other business, this time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new oral matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. And as promised, something about art in the council chambers. Well, framed documents. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Former Mayor Christopher talked about this earlier in the meeting. We have some beautifully framed founding documents, like the charter and several other. Anyway, I got to look at them in our storage room. The proposal is to put them here on this wall, I guess that's the west wall, and relocate the larger painting to that side of the room. So it's not technically art, so this falls in the council's prerogative. So we're just asking for a motion to allow those documents on the wall.
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
We need a motion to suspend the rules to take up this matter? Yes, you have trained us, sir. Council President Starr.
Okay, we'll see if I pass. I move that Keizer City Council adopt the proposal to place historical.
But we have to suspend the rules first.
Oh, man, I was. Okay, I'm so excited. I move that Keizer City Council adopt the rules. Suspend the rules
to take up the matters.
Second. 9 o'clock.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council suspend the rules to take up the matter about the hanging documents in the Keizer Civic Center. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. There are no objection. Motion passes unanimously. Now,
Thank you.
I move that Keizer City Council adopt the proposal to place historical Keizer City documents in the Keizer Civic Center.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council, thank you, adopt the proposal to place historic Keizer City documents in the council chambers. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, I said Keizer Civic Center.
Yeah.
Okay, that too.
Clarify that.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. All right. Let's see, art is in the eye of the beholder, and we want to behold all of this, so it's going to be beautiful. Thank you very much. Yeah. Under other business, I'll bring this up later. It's not that time sensitive. Let's go to staff updates. This time is provided to allow staff to, do you have something for other business, Councilor Kohler?
I have a process question.
Proceed.
Do I need to propose a motion to direct staff or allow staff to work with the three counselors to develop the proposal we talked about tonight to bring to council? Or can I just work with staff?
No, that was something we talked about earlier, was whether you want to put a motion on the table to debate and vote on, to address staff in that manner, and so are you bringing it up under business? Do you want to vote to suspend the rules, take up that matter?
I would.
Say so.
Okay. I propose a motion to direct or allow staff to work with three counselors.
You failed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Say it again.
You failed too?
Yes. Thank you, I did, miserably.
The motion is
I
to
make a motion to suspend the
the
rules
rules.
to discuss an ordinance.
This matter.
This matter, there you go. So then somebody has to second it?
I second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council suspend rules, take up the matter of ordinances, the ordinance that Councilor Kohler is proposing. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying no.
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 Noes, raise hands. Motion fails. Thank you.
No.
So we are not going to suspend the rules, take the matter.
Didn't, we had 4. Robert?
You had 3 no's.
Three
Yeah,
noes,
3
who are the
noes.
noes? Okay, I miscounted, I thought I saw,
Noes?
Yeah,
Noes.
There's 4-3.
motion passes 4-3.
Yes.
The noes are Clark, Reed, and Starr. Counselor Kohler, proceed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I propose a motion to direct or allow staff to work with 3 counselors to develop a proposal that we discussed this evening.
Specify.
Pardon me?
Specify.
That specifies the matter of no new fees and developed definitions for that. Second.
It's been moved, I need the language. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council direct staff to work with the 3 counselors to develop a proposal to bring to council on fees.
Yes.
Is that close enough?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I'm uncomfortable with staff working on the definitions. I think that's something that if we're going to bring the matter forward, we need to have already identified what those definitions are. So for example, I've heard a lot of conversation about what fees, but when we hear new fees, to me, what's going to happen if we need to, right now, there's a current police fee that covers 5 positions. What happens if we, I think the data says that we're not staffed accordingly for a city this size. So what happens if we decide we want or we need 6 officers covered by that police fee? Does that gonna require a vote to the community? Or Is that within what the original fee that Counselor Kohler said we're not going to touch original fees that we have already voted on and or have already been in place? So I think it's unfair to ask staff to come up with those definitions when it's the counselors that want that information brought forward. I think they should be the ones to bring those definitions forward.
Counselor Duran.
My thinking is with us working with the staff, we'll be able to straighten those things out and come back with a good plan that will work for both. You know, what we feel is a good thing to propose.
Thank you. I'm uncomfortable with this for the same reason as Council President Starr. I think it was a very loose idea, but that didn't have any definition around it. There's a lot of different fees that we do enact in our duties as a city council. We do a lot of outreach into the community, and without seeing something of that, of the three of you, what this proposal actually is trying to entail, without assigning a lot of staff time right now, I'm really not interested in proceeding. Councilor Hussman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My probing question, I guess, is the binary versus spectrum question on fees. So if it got to the point of a vote, you could theoretically have a situation where there's a yes/no vote option on the ballot, while there's also a spectrum or set fee range on the ballot, especially if there's an existing fee that we're trying to amend or something like that. If the spectrum measure passes, but the binary measure doesn't, then what do we do? I feel like there are just some legal complications that I don't quite know how to address with where you guys are trying to go with this here.
Thank you. Councilor Duran.
That's why we're asking to work with staff to iron this stuff out, so we know what we feel confident that we're asking the correct questions with the correct information.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed signify by saying no.
No.
Noes, raise hands. This one fails. The noes are Reed, Hussman, Clark, Starr. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to staff updates. Mr. Brown.
Next week is the strategic plan review, and I want to say a lot of the stuff that happens every day, that the city keeps moving with our roads, our streets, and our public safety officers. And it happens without much notice, but our employees do a really, really great job with it. And unfortunately, the council has to deal with the messy stuff. But I do want you to know that a lot of good work happens with every day to keep our city moving and keep the water running. And so also, we are watching the weather, and hopefully everybody in their homes is taking a look at it too, because we'll have significant rain through the rest of this week, and we had significant rain over the weekend. And we have been communicating with our county emergency manager. They've been sending us updates about the rain impact potential on our community. So please look at that. If we have to send notifications out, we will use our notification system, probably working with the county to do that.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate that attention and the use of our social media to get the word out as well. Thank you. Mr. Wood.
Just a reminder, just a show of hands, who did their laundry at their neighbor's house or extended family. The hint for this month, it's polar plunge time. polar bear, swim, whatever you want to call it. Hey, just consider jumping in the Willamette River a couple times. Skip your shower that day, save you a bunch of water, and it'll save your sewer bill over the next year. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I think I'm going to find some alternatives to get to that, but thank you so much. Ms. Bissett.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Chief Copeland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one event this year or month that we're going to invite the public to. We do it yearly. It's pretty fun. We join with the Starbucks on River Road and have Santa Claus there and a bunch of other treats and give out some toys to kids. And it's going to be a great event. So we're going to do that December 19th during the Christmas break and from 9 to 11 in the morning.
Thank you very much. December 19, 9 to 11. All right, thank you so much. Mr. Lawyer.
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Witham.
Nothing else. You guys heard plenty from me.
Before I go to Mr. Johnson, I do want to say a big thank you to Mr. Witham for staying engaged in the League of Oregon Cities and the Oregon Community Planners and Developers, the Housing Development Policy Coordinating. That has been very technical work. And I think Mr. Brown, were you also on that call? I know Mr. Witham, you've been staying with that. This is going to be in the short session again, and watching out for that is so important for our community because it's going to impact our codes and our housing for Keizer. So thank you for that. Mr. Johnson.
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. That takes us to council reports, as this time is provided for council members to briefly present items related to the city, and we'll start with Councilor Cross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I attended the YMCA Executive Committee meeting on the 20th, their Governance Committee on the 26th, and then, let's see, on the 28th, I attended the Food for Thought at the Rec.
All right, thank you very much. Councilor Joanne.
I enjoyed the community dinner on the 22nd with a few other people. That was kind of I don't know, I hadn't had it in a while. I mean, since last year, I guess, the unique dinner. Putting everything together like a casserole was pretty cool, so I enjoyed that.
It wasn't fun serving it.
So, and then Saturday, a bunch of us went and did the collection site at the Miracle of Lights, and that was a lot of fun, standing out of the rain most of the time, but we did get wet, but we collected a lot of food, and I don't even know if we've got a tally on the money, but there was a lot that came through, so that was great. Saturday's parade, if you're in the area of Remodeling by Classic Homes, come for free food from the food cart that is going to be there. Just so, it is free.
It's free.
It is free, all free, and that's Bridgeway Recovery's mobile kitchen. And last year they did soup and hot chocolate and some, I can't remember what the bread was, but it was all really good. So, and it was free. So please come if you're in the area. You will enjoy free food. And parade starts at 7. I imagine the food truck will be there about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and come and enjoy it. Enjoy the parade at 7 o'clock. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing that hasn't been spoken about. It was cold and wet on Saturday night, but we collected 702 and a half pounds of food on Saturday night. But it was fun to be out there with our colleagues, and the community dinner was pretty awesome. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know that Councilor Starr had to go get some therapy after serving all that food at the community dinner. We served a total of 328 people, so it was a very successful dinner. Thank you. On Tuesday, this last week, the public, what do we call it? Public Works staff released the salmon fry that they had raised from just eggs and they were released over on Mill Creek near Willamette University. So if you're gonna go fishing in a few years and you catch one of them there, you can thank the Public Works Department. That was a lot of work that they did, taking care of them, and I just wanted to say thank you and good job. Saturday, I attended the city dance recital and just wanted to say congratulations to all the kids that were involved in that, production of the Snowman again. It's a lot of work. You think of how many people are involved in a production like that. They did 2 shows. I just wanted to say congratulations. And of course, I got wet with the other counselors Saturday night. And then the Northwest Keizer Neighborhood Association contacted me. I'm a liaison for their organization, and Herb Sangster was the one that really brought it up. There's a sign that hasn't been working very well at Keizer Elementary, and they had some questions about how to get a new sign there. And I met with Mr. Witham, and they had said that the city wouldn't allow them to have a sign. So I met with Mr. Witham, and he said, well, that's not really true. They haven't applied for a sign. And so I met with the principal and some other officials at the school recently, and they will soon be making an application. So hopefully we'll have a sign at Keizer Elementary again soon. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Hussman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing much for me tonight. Stay warm, stay dry.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Most of what I have dealt with and been to have been mentioned already. We do have a Community Diversity Engagement Committee meeting coming up this Thursday. And we also, I will also be going to Keizer Heritage Foundation board meeting next Tuesday. But other than that, I don't have anything to add.
All right, thank you very much. Youth Councillor Woodard.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. Let me pull up my notes here. Okay, so we have a pretty action-packed week at McNary. So Tuesday, we have varsity girls and boys basketball games. And then Wednesday, we have our holiday band concert, which is going to be at the theater, which is good. I'm a big fan of the holiday band concert. And then the day after, Thursday, we have the orchestra concert, which is going to be great as well in the theater. And then Saturday, we have some more sports. We have wrestling. We have a youth basketball tournament at McNary, which is going to be pretty interesting at the gym. And then Saturday, we also have Saturday school from 9 a.m. to noon, which is for students that need a little extra help or want to make up an assignment or go check in. And then Sunday, this is pretty interesting. I've been to a few of the Salem Youth Symphony concerts before, and there's another one coming up this Sunday at the Smith Auditorium at Willamette, and that's always really good. It's definitely, any orchestra lovers, it's going to be a great experience, and it'll be really fun. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Just to wrap up a couple of things, on the 27th, I had the opportunity to bring on Coin 6 Mayor's Monday. I really appreciate the news station reaching out to mayors in the Mid-Willamette Valley on a regular basis. I was able to promote our parade, Miracle of Lights, Housing and Homelessness Solutions, and the link to the broadcast is on my Facebook page. At SCATS, which is the Salem Keizer Area Transportation Study, on the 28th, we had a robust conversation about a project that's important to all of us, and that is the seismic retrofit of the Center Street Bridge. When in the event of the eventual Cascadia earthquake, Mary Street comes down. That bridge is coming down. Center Street is being retrofitted. We hope to get it done before Mother Nature does her thing. We've been learning that there are 3 more associated bridges with that particular project that have to be addressed, and there's going to be more work around the west side approaches. So kudos to everybody working on that project. It's going to be critical for the survivability and getting access to services for people after Cascadia. I want to give a huge shout out to the leadership team for the Miracle of Christmas, Council President Shani Starr, Marion Polk Food Share, Savannah Langdon, Chamber, Jill Gust, John Moore, who is also known as Buddy the Elf, also the property owner on whose site we are being able to collect food this year, Chelsea Strait, Greater Gubser Neighborhood Association, Patty Tischer, city staff, Adam Brown, Tim Wood, and additional assistance from Mark Callier with the Snow Cops, Keizer Public Works, Jane Lowry at the Willamette Valley Bank, and Robin Barney at the Keizer Times, and many more, and all the people coming out to volunteer. This is a group effort. Huge thank you to everybody who is going to make this a truly wonderful holiday season. Just one thing I want to point out coming up on the 7th is the Verta Lane Project Open House. Is going to be here from 4 to 7. Come on down, see about that project. It's very critical for our community, and find out what's going to be happening with that project as it gets ready to go to, we hope, construction. With that, I will conclude. And, the Willamette Valley Council of Governments is working on the legislation coming up regarding Measure 110. So as I get more information from the COG, you get it in your Friday bulletins, please read it. Get information back to the COG on that. I do have a seat on the Legislative Committee. Speaking of which, I was notified, all of you were invited to apply for League of Oregon City Policy Committees. And I did apply for 2, and I just found out today that I was appointed to both. So I will be on the Transportation Policy Committee. I have been on that for about 10 years. I will also be on the Community Development Policy Committee, and I have been asked to serve as chair. So I'm looking forward to that work with our colleagues from across the state on developing policies, getting ready for the long session in 2025. That is all I got. Agenda input, December 11th, that is next Monday night. We'll be here at 6 p.m. for our City Council work session on the strategic plan. December 18th, 7 p.m., we will meet in regular session. And then Happy New Year. We will meet on January 2nd, which is a Tuesday, if I remember correctly, for regular session at 7 p.m. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, the time is 9:30. We are adjourned.